Okay, this video is a beginning of the Power Rule Practice Lab, and I know this is the beginning part of doing the Power Rule, and I took this from another book. I actually scanned it in so that you guys could have some practice, more practice than the book has. So I'm going to just start at some of the harder ones. The one thing I want you to do is to make sure you copy the problem on each one of these and then show all your work. And remember, sometimes you're going to have to manipulate it and practice it and change it before you can actually do the derivative. So the first one I'm going to do is let me see, let's start with 17. Okay, so I'm going to start with 17. Please do this in your own spiral notebook, but I'm going to do it here just so I can see the problems easier. So I have h of theta equals 1 over the cube root of theta. And so I look at it and say, is this in a method where I can actually start doing the derivative? And I said, no, I need to have it set up so I can use the power rule. So I know this is the same as saying 1 over theta to the 1/3 with our flower power. And then I can move that up and I can say h of theta is actually theta to the negative 1/3. So I have not done any calculus at all. All I've done is kind of set it up using algebra to make sure that it's set up to do the derivative. Now is the only time I'm going to say h prime of theta to do to the derivative. So these two rows are just me getting it ready. So h prime of theta is going to do, I'm going to multiply it. So I got negative 1/3 theta, subtract 1. Think of it as negative 3 over 3 in your head. So that's minus 4/3. And there's my derivative. That's not incorrect, but I also want you to be able to rewrite it. So I'm going to do h prime of theta. It's going to be negative 1 over 3. Now remember, the theta goes in here, my power goes here, and it's the cube root of theta to the 4th. So that's how I would do 17. 18 is similar, but I want to do 18 with you because it's kind of interesting how you can write that. So I'm going to copy it down. So here's 18. 18, I want you to copy the problem, f of x equals radical 1 over x cubed. And so when I looked at this, I'm like, all right, I know I can move this up here and make that a negative 3. And then I see radical is the same as saying to the half power. So this is the same thing as saying x to the negative 3 raised to the half, which is x to negative 3 halves. Again, I haven't done anything except set it up so I can use a power rule. And now, only now, I'm using Christmas colors. I can bring this down, multiply it. So it's going to be negative 3 halves, x, subtract 1, think of this in your head, minus 5 halves. That is correct, but I want to make sure that you can rewrite it as well. So f prime of x is going to equal negative 3 over 2 radical x to the 5th, because this is my power and that's my root. So that's 7 and 18. So I'm going to be looking at some other ones that might be interesting to do. And let's look at 27. I'll do 27. So 27 is I have y equals 3t to the 5th minus 5 radical t plus 7 over t. So as I look at this, I see the first term, there's 3 terms here. The first term looks really good. It's set up for me, but the second term and the third term, I've got to do some manipulation. So I got 3t to the 5th, or I'm going to write it as an equivalent expression. That's going to be 5t to the half for 27. And then I have 7 over t, and I know I can bring that up and make that a negative. So I'm going to write this as 7. Am I making sure I wrote this right? Yep, 7t to the negative 1. Now I can actually go through and do the derivative. So right here, I'm going to now do y prime. Notice I haven't done y prime yet. So I'm going to do 15t subtract 1 to the 4th. Then I've got minus 5 over 2 because a half times the minus 5. Then I'm going to subtract 1 minus 2 over 2. So that's going to minus it's going to be t to the negative 1/2 minus 7t, subtract 1, to the negative 2. Now I'm just going to rewrite it. Y prime is 15t to the 4th. Then this would be minus 5 over 2 radical t. And this would be minus 7 over t squared. So there's 27. That'll help you with 28. The next one I'm going to do is 32. Let me see if I got some room on this page still. So I'm going to do 32. So I'm going to move it down so we can have room to do this. So I'm going to do 32 over here, in case there's other ones on this page I want to do. So 32 is interesting because you've got to do some manipulation for this to work out okay, and we're using thetas. So I'm just going to rewrite it like I always want you to write it in your spiral notebook. So I have radical theta times radical theta plus 1 over radical theta. Okay, so the first thing I look at and say, I bet you I can do the distributive property. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to distribute and distribute. But when I distribute, I look at it and say, well, I'm going to rewrite these first. So I'm going to say that's theta to the 1/2. This is good practice. Times theta to the 1/2 plus theta to the negative 1/2. Because if I look at this, this is down here. I can bring it up. I know it's theta to the 1/2. When I do, it's negative. Now when I go through and distribute, I'll actually distribute right here. If I have the same base and I'm adding, so I have y equals, so if I'm adding that's going to be theta times theta theta to the 1/2 times theta to the 1/2. I add my exponents. That's just going to be theta to the first power. And then when I do these and add them, I get theta to the 0. Well, this is a 1 right here. This is a 1. So really, I have just y equals theta, which is quite interesting. Now I'm going to do my y prime. And if you think about it, that's my variable. So I have 1 times theta to the 0 power, because I subtract, so it's just really 1. So the derivative of this is just 1. That's kind of cool. So I wanted to show you that one. The next one I want to do is 33. I think I got room on here to do 33. I don't want to hide it too much until I start. Whoops. Let's get down here. I'll do it right here. So here's 33. And it's y equals x squared plus 1 all over x. And I look at it, it's not really set up right, so I'm going to divide both terms by x. I'm getting there, so y is going to equal, this is a 1, and I'm dividing, I subtract my exponent, so that's x to the first, plus this is x to the negative 1 for 33. And then I say, yay, now I can start setting up to do the derivative. So I do y prime. The derivative of x is 1 times x to the 0, or 1. And then I do the derivative. This is minus 1x to the negative 2. Okay, which is the same thing as saying 1, okay, minus 1 over x squared. So there's the derivative for 33. I hope this is helping out. I'm trying to do some of these to give you kind of an idea how to do this. So let's look at the next page, see if there's any I can do to help you out. And you have to go up to 40, and I already did 39 and 40, so I guess we're all set. So you had to stop on your first assignment is at 40, which I already did those in class, so we're all set for this. So I hope this video helped you on some of the questions that you may have had.